नागा स्टूडेंट फेडरेशन और साथ ही नागा स्टूडेंट यूनियन दिल्ली के सहयोग से 11 जून 2022 को ए कॉल फॉर पीस बैनर के तहत पीपल्स रैली का आयोजन किया गया। इस रैली में जो उद्देश्य है, क्या कुछ है, आप इस रिपोर्ट में देखिए।
NSF NSUD ने आज 11 जून 2022 को न्यू दिल्ली में जंतर मंतर पर पीपल्स रैली ए कॉल फॉर पीस का आयोजन किया। द नागा स्टूडेंट्स फेडरेशन NSF ने नागा स्टूडेंट्स यूनियन दिल्ली NSUD के सहयोग से पीपल्स रैली ए कॉल फॉर पीस का आयोजन किया है आज 11 जून 2022 को जंतर मंतर न्यू दिल्ली में। इस रैली में दिल्ली NCR में रहने वाले नागास और विभिन्न नागा सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और वेल विशर्स की एकजुटता संदेशों के साथ हुए। रैली के उद्देश्य नागाओं की जेन्युइन कंसर्न और एस्पिरेशन को उठाना था। इस रैली के खास विषय भारत सरकार और पूरी दुनिया को बड़ी पैमाने पर नागाओं का संदेश देना है। मैं सुदर्शन न्यूज चैनल के लिए जंतर मंतर न्यू दिल्ली।
देश की राजधानी दिल्ली में नागा स्टूडेंट्स फेडरेशन यानी कि NSF और नागा स्टूडेंट्स यूनियन दिल्ली NSUD के सहयोग से 11 जून 2022 को एक कॉल फॉर पीस बैनर के तहत पीपल्स रैली का आयोजन किया गया और 1 मार्च नई दिल्ली के मंडी हाउस से निकाला। CSO और शुभ चिंतकों के संदेश के साथ जंतर मंतर तक ये मार्च निकाला गया। इसमें नागा संगठनों से जुड़े हुए सदस्य, नेताओं, चर्च के सदस्यों की सक्रिय भागीदारिता रही और केक विहुन TP ने राष्ट्रपति के नाम एक संदेश लिखकर रैली के उद्देश्य को लेखांकित भी किया। नागास कॉल अपने सार में शांति के लिए कॉल सरल है। यह सामंजस्यपूर्ण और शांतिपूर्ण सह अस्तित्व के लिए एक प्रार्थना है। यह भीतर और बिना दोनों के निर्माण के लिए हमारी अंतर्निहित इच्छा का प्रतीक भी है, जिसने हमारे नागा मातृभूमि में मानव अधिकार के हर रूप का उल्लंघन किया है। तो वहीं KLU नेडांग महासचिव नागा हो ने भारत के प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी से अपील की है कि नागा मुद्दों को हल करने में अपनी प्रतिबद्धता दिखाएं। नागा होगो ने दशकों के पुराने लंबे समय तक भारत नागा राजनीतिक मुद्दे को हल करने में अपने पूर्ण समर्थन का विस्तार करने के लिए भारत में सभी समुदायों से अपील भी की है। वैश्विक नागा फोरम के पाऊ ने कहा कि नागाओं ने भारत पर हमला नहीं किया, न ही भारत के लिए समस्या पैदा की। नागा भारत विरोधी नहीं है। तो वहीं नागा स्टूडेंट्स एसोसिएशन के अध्यक्ष टिंटंग वांगलर ने कहा कि नागाओं को 2 राष्ट्रों के तहत रखा गया था और 4 राज्यों के नीचे इन्हें रखा गया था। मनमाने ढंग से नागाओं को विभाजित करने और हमारी आकांक्षा को दबाने के लिए विभाजित किया गया था। तो वहीं दक्षिण एशिया फोरम के पूर्व महासचिव तनन बोस ने एकजुटता संदेश भी भेजा है, जिसमें कहा गया कि नागा सबसे सीधे, दयालु और शांतिप्रिय लोगों में से एक है। तो वहीं रैली ने नागा छात्र संघ की सभी संघीय इकाइयों की भागीदारी को दिल्ली पूर्वी नागालैंड छात्रों के संघ के सदस्यों के साथ NSUD की घटक इकाइयों की भागीदारी भी की है। ब्यूरो रिपोर्ट, सुदर्शन न्यूज।
I want to inform this gathering that the Naga Students Federation delegation is a strong delegation of 43 members comprising of all the officials, the presidents of the federating units of the Naga Students Federation, as well as a host of our seniors. We have a host of dignitaries from mainland India who have come to support our rally, our gathering. We also have received messages from our well-wishers, though they are not physically present here. I request each one of you to come and take the dais one after the other. Thank you.
This cannot be fixed by triggered heavy laws, and harmony can never be brought about by one-sided ordinances that serve only the interests of a single entity. The Indian Armed Forces, equipped with the most draconian laws, including the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958. I say this has been used in the Naga homeland against the sons and daughters of the soil. Today, it is paramount that all the stakeholders continue to actively engage in meaningful talks. With the Naga youth's call for peace, we long for peaceful future, a future without fear and conflict. We shall continue to stand united for unified limb and glory of the Nagas. Long live Nagas! Long live Naga Students Federation Kognali. Thank you.
Friends from different parts of the Indian subcontinent, the Indian people, whom we consider as our close ally and defenders of our right, ladies and gentlemen. Today I stand before you as an elder representing elder generation in shame in a way, because no matter how hard we tried, we could not bring peace to our land. But I also stand before you proudly to say that Nagas, despite our human sufferings, which the world could not endure for all this, we have not lost our dignity, nor have we surrendered our rights. And we will continue to stand our ground till the end of time. Naga history is written in blood, in ashes, in fire. I come from a generation that witnessed entire Naga areas being bombarded, entire villages burned, not only villages, but granaries, terrace fields, domestic cats, the dogs and animals captured, killed, so that even if we don't die of bullets and bombs, we will die of starvation. I come from a generation that does not know the year or the dates or the month we were born, because nothing was left on this earth in the Naga homeland. No diaries survived the fire of the Indian military. Bibles, songbooks, everything that could burn. That's why people don't know when they were born. When they ask your age, they say, were you born before your village was burned or after you came back from the jungles? Accordingly, we know whether we're 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. That is the generation before you. And I think many of you have not seen. There is not a single Naga village in the entire Naga homeland that has not suffered loss as a consequence of these more than 75 years of war and peace in Nagaland. Every Naga family has lost one son or daughter, a father or mother. No Naga community is deprived women of being raped, tortured, and killed. For which, in order to save the nation, to survive as a people, young able-bodied Nagas had to go to the jungles to take up the relics, the waste of World War II from British soldiers and Japanese soldiers. 303 rifles and so musket guns, whatever. That was the generation which brought you to this earth. Women were not only raped and killed. In Waka, a pregnant woman, the entire village of the people were gathered in the ground. A pregnant woman, the Indian army tied a rope to her neck. They dragged her around the ground to show the villagers gathered, kept as a concentration camp. In the process, the fetus came out from her body. They took out and put it into her mouth. She died. Another woman was raped, molested. After that, they cut her limbs, her arms, her limbs, all the 4 legs and arms. Then they molested her trunk. Women were raped inside the pulpit of the church. All teenage women, 4 of them. One of them, I suppose, is still alive, even today. The church is left unused till today, but still standing because of that desecration. In my hometown, Fisher Town, 6 students, all teenagers from 13 years to 16 years old, came to appear exam at Fisher Government High School, staying in a rented house. 6 of them teenagers. Indian Army came and took them away. Not only killed them, chopped them into pieces. Chopped them into pieces, meat. Made meat. Packed in rice bags, gunny bags, bosta, that's what we say. Thrown into the jungles for the animals to eat. But few remains of their bodies were found. But nobody knows which part of whose body was it. No parents knew, no brothers knew, no sisters knew. These are only small stories. I have my own stories. As a small boy of 8 years, my skull was cracked with a stone by the Asar members who just leave their camp is just a stone's away from my house. Because I was in the jungle shooting bird. My skull had to be stitched with the hair of horses by one of those early doctors. When I came of age to school and college, I started participating in NSF activities. I was, along with my NSF colleagues, arrested and jailed for 69 days for saying that I'm a Naga. While registering in a hotel to stay, I wrote my nationality as Naga. Armies, CRPs, police came, surrounded the hotel, took us, the whole NSF team, 5 of us, put us in jail, and we were locked up for 69 days. Just because we didn't want to lose our identity. When ceasefire came into 1997, with all these experiences, knowledge of what has happened in the past, afraid for what may happen to our future generations, we followed the peace process very closely as NSF, as human rights organizations, as mothers, churches, Naga. From day one, we said this ceasefire must work. Because even in the past ceasefire, we have been betrayed again and again, not only by government of India, but also because of our own inner contradictions by our own people. But that is nothing new. It happens in every society across the world. And so in order to make the new peace process ceasefire work, we did not leave any stone unturned to see that government of India, negotiation with Naga leader, brings peace to our land. Even in that process, there was argument of ceasefire area coverage. Some Indian leader says, yes, ceasefire is everywhere. Not only in Nagaland, but here in Delhi, Calcutta, Bombay, even in Paris, in London, wherever Nagas are. But some says, ceasefire belongs only to the people of Nagaland state. The 16,000 square kilometers out of the 120,000 square kilometers Naga homeland. In that process, the Naga women who were denied of this opportunity, Naga women dressed in traditional dress called themselves for a human chain to demand peace. They line up from Mao Gate to Tatobi, saying that peace must prevail everywhere. Indian Army came in Naga shawls, different Naga shawls, civilian clothes, jackets, with AK-47 pistols and whatnot hidden under the shawls and jackets. I went up to intervene. Don't disturb people when they want peace. In the process, they started firing at me. One whole AK-47 magazine was emptied in the road, but I managed to run away. But 3 people were not so fortunate. 3 of them were shot, but none of them was killed. I myself suffered some injury from the commander of the army who tried to take me away forcibly. So in order to make peace process, we have not left any stone unturned. We went to the United Nations. We went wherever our voices could be heard. In different parts of India, we came to Delhi. Every Naga civil society, we came to Delhi in 2000, calling it a journey of conscience to India, and to say thank you to Mahatma Gandhi, who understood Naga stories and respected the Nagas as a people. We went and prayed in his graveyard. We sang songs. Though he wasn't a Christian, Lead Gently Light was his favorite Christian song. Nagas practiced that song and sang in his graveyard. Gandhians came and cried. We should have been the person to come to Nagaland to say sorry for what India has done. Instead, you have come to Rajghat, to Delhi. We are so ashamed, and they cried openly in the ground. We say this is a journey of conscience. When Naga people and Indian people talk and converse, we think we can find peace. Peace will not be handed us to us by governments and Indian military. So we have come to reach to the hearts and souls of the Indian people. 25 years now, ceasefire has gone on without conclusion. We also know that it is the division among the Nagas that the government of India has been using as a leverage to further delay the peace process. In our own ways, we reached out to every Naga leaders. Those days, there were only 3 factions. 2 NNCN, both outside Nagaland, 1 in Burma, 1 in Asia, 1 in London. We reached out to all of them. They said, please come together for the sake of future Naga generation. Now we have 15, 16 factions. The more we try to unite them, the more we're divided. That is the sad reality. But all this is happening maybe because we ourselves are not honest with ourselves. We're afraid to stand for the truth, or rather, let me say, we want to be safe by hiding from the truth. If you look at the Naga society today, besides the killings by Indian army, bullets and bombs which happened just last December, and which was repeated in Arunachal Tirap district. 2 of them, Indian army stopped. After identifying them, they let them go away, and when they were going away, they were shot from behind. Never a case of mistaken identity as claimed in the autumn incident. These are happening just now. The dust of these killings have not even settled. The smoke of these killings have not even disappeared. In the midst of all this, Government of India has signed agreements time to time. Some agreements to find some kind of honorable peace. Some agreements to divide the Nagas further and further, and to weaken the Nagas. So what we are now saying in the midst of all this is it not time for us to stand up for what is right? We have conversed with different people in India, even in recent times, last year, even this year. We have gone to South India, North India, everywhere, wherever Naga people are willing, Indian people are willing to listen to us. We have gone to the heartland of India, Bihar, West Bengal, wherever. And we're still going. And together, not us, but Indian leaders, the conscience of the Indian public are saying, Mr. Narendra Modi, it is time you take direct control of the peace situation, the peace negotiation. Don't leave it to your bureaucrats who are only destructing your commitment to peace. Ever since ceasefire came till today, on behalf of Naga civil society, I have met every prime minister that has come along the way. Everybody says we want peace to come to Nagaland. We want peace. We want peace. When the prime minister says peace, the home minister will wage war, and the Indian soldiers will kill. And in Naga, that is in the street of Nagaland or in the jungle, when it suits their purpose. But in the midst of all this, why peace continue to elude us? Besides the division that government of India has planted in us, Nagas are happy stooges of these divisive rules. Some of the languages and words that have been used by our own Naga against our Naga negotiators and our Naga people on lines of geography or whatever, they are much more violent than the bullets and the bombs that killed and destroyed our houses and homes and killed our people. The words of our Naga people, they're much more violent than those bullets and bombs. Today I stand here, maybe my generation have failed. It is your day today, it is your word. Tomorrow you will have children, you will have younger generations coming after you. Are you going to leave your faith in future to those of us who are dishonest, who are untrustworthy, who are not afraid to betray? You want to leave your faith to these people. Just as much as the Indians, and we are saying, Mr. Prime Minister, please take control of the peace negotiation. I think it is time for me to tell them, today's Naga youth, especially under Naga Students Federation, NSUD, whatever organizations you have, today's youth, don't be caught up in your ego, personal ego, tribal egos, degree egos, whatever ego. Don't be caught up because you are getting caught up. How long we will be there to scold you or even to guide you or to misguide you? I don't know how many elders are guiding you, but I know many elders are misguiding you. So do you want to take control of your own life, your own future? Thank you, brothers and sisters.
The NSF call for peace reminds us of our shared moral responsibility to be awake, alive, and responsive to the truth of the Naga political condition. The experience of yesteryears has shown India's inability to accept the Naga historical and political rights. This has resulted in what seems like an enduring stalemate where aspirations were conveniently sidelined and people turned to mute spectator. The government of India's quest for peace was fraught by political one-upmanship, political maneuvering, and political mismanagement, which did not lead to any constructive, meaningful, or transformative outcome. Rather, it led to a poached peace where Naga life was turned upside down and basic fundamental rights suppressed for decades.
Of Global Naga Forum on Leave Us Alone, the Naga people told the British colonial government of India in 1929 to leave us alone. Nagas have in effect been telling the post-colonial government of India since 1947 to leave us alone. We are here today in Delhi rallying for two urgent things: peace in the Naga homeland and an honorable solution to the Indo-Naga political problem, because Nagas have not been left alone to decide for ourselves what is in our best interest as a people. The solidarity message from Tapan Bose, former Secretary General, SAF HR. I am honored to be a part of Naga people's peace movement. I have been associated with the Naga people's struggle for self-rule. They are one of the most upright, honorable, compassionate and peace-loving people. I hope the ongoing Indo-Naga peace dialogue will soon be concluded honorably. I stand in solidarity with my Naga brothers and sisters. Long live Naga People's Movement for Peace. Pakistan India People's Forum for Peace and Democracy, on behalf of Mr. Vijayan MJ. The Pakistan's India People's Forum for Peace and Democracy joins the many progressive South Asian groups in greeting the Naga people today. Peace is neither a generosity of the occupier state nor a subject matter of solicitation or negotiations. Peace is a right of all civilized people and communities. Peace, in that sense, is not just the absence of armed conflict and war, but the establishing of dignity, people's right, democracy and justice.
May the fire of our devotion light the way. May the footprints that we leave.
As Naga mothers and Naga women, we have worked for decades for peacemakers and peacekeepers because we believe in the future of our children and the young generation to live in peace. The Naga struggle in our homeland has taken its toll in all Naga families, as we have witnessed militarization in the Naga Hills under the draconian Armed Forces Special Power Act since 1958. We have lost sons and brothers killed by the Indian Army Armed Forces, daughters and sisters raped and killed in our villages and homes. Hundreds of our villages have been razed to the ground in this decades of militarization in our Naga homeland under the Indian Armed Forces. We call upon the government of India to honor the peace negotiation and bring about suitable peace in our Naga homeland by an honorable, acceptable and inclusive solution to the Naga people at the earliest.
The Naga Ho has made it clear to the government of India and the world that the Nagas are not a lost people, and they are living in their ancestral land as a nation which is given by God and had never consented nor by conquest to be a part of any nation. India or any mighty nations should not deny the existence and the rights of other nations whose nationality deserves to be respected.
The office of the All Naga Student Association Manipur would like to bring a greetings. Dear fellow Nagas, God created Nagas as one. We Nagas are divergent parts covering in our history and aspiration. That is why we are one people, one nation. We were placed under two nations and put under four states on the other, arbitrarily divided the Nagas to suppress and repress our aspiration. Our adversaries have been trying to divide and crush the Naga people with different design and scheme that suit their interest, that have drawn artificial boundaries, that have militarized our land, that employ different economy packages and other means to subdue us ever against independence.
The memorandum which we are going to submit after this rally to Shri Narendra Modi, the Honorable Prime Minister, India, New Delhi, subject in matters relating to the Indo-Naga political issue and appeal for sincerity thereof. Honorable Sir, Warm greetings from the office of the Naga Students Federation. During the last 75 years after India became independent, all of Naga homeland was militarized. We know of 2 ceasefire and peace negotiation between the government of India and the leaders of the Naga national movement. We have heard only stories of the first ceasefire, while in the second ceasefire, we, the present Naga generation, are now living through it. We have also heard and read about earlier agreements and accords which were imposed and superimposed to bring in so-called peaceful solution, which only created more problems and conflicts rather than solving the problems. After the British colonial left the Naga country, the government of India unleashed the dogs of war equipped with the most draconian laws, including the Armed Forces Special Power Act 1958 (AFSPA). The AFSPA was and continues to be destructive to the rights of life. This act was used and is still used against innocent Naga civilians, the last incident being the Oting massacre on December 4 and 5 and Mount killings on December 5, 2021. In light of the same, the Naga Students Federation, representing the aspiration of the Naga youths and students community, arbitrarily divided by the colonial forces into 4 Indian states and 2 international countries, would like to categorically state that it is the insincerity of approach of the government of India that has brought about this grim situation. As today's Nagas, we are looking forward to inherit the inclusive, honorable and acceptable solution basing on the unique history and situation of the Naga people as assured by the Indian government. However, the various developments wherein the policy of the government of India to undo everything achieved through hard-earned political negotiations have created great distrust in each one of our minds as we strive to uphold our God's given identity. It should be reminded that the Naga people's assertion for self-determination is never secessionist movement. Honorable Sir, kindly allow us to categorically state that in the present scenario, the Naga Students Federation is of the apprehension that the worst will happen if the government of India fails to honor its commitment and exhibit its most sincerity by ensuring that the rights and dignity of the Naga people is upheld. Emphatically, the Naga Students Federation believes that lack of commitment to solve the problem in hand will definitely prove counterproductive. Therefore, the Federation would like to reiterate our earlier stand that Naga youth and students will never accept an economic package based piecemeal solution, as we are convinced that it is just another burnt cake with some fancy yet superficial icing on it. Such exercise will only eventually deepen the protracted Indo-Naga problem rather than being the solution of the Naga people has long desired. The failed agreements and accords of the past bear the testimony to this assertion of ours. Honorable Sir, the younger generation of the Naga trust in your statesmanship as the tallest leader of the world's largest democracy to ensure that lasting peace and justice is brought about in our Naga homeland through your strong political will of solving the Indo-Naga political issue. We have the highest faith in your honorable self and hold on to your declaration to the international communities that the Southeast Asia's longest running conflict is brought to its logical conclusion. We therefore plead to your honorable self to translate this declaration into reality with all due respect. Honorable Sir, last but not the least, kindly allow us to specifically put forward based on ground realities the divisive role that is being played by the various agencies of the government of India. The Naga Students Federation humbly beseech your office to stop such elements from deepening the crisis, which only lead to fallout in the ongoing peace process. By taking direct control of the situation in letter and spirit, in which the ceasefire and political talks were declared and initiated, that the talks will be held without any condition at the highest level, that is at the Prime Minister level. Thawangchep, President, Subuni Enjoy Philo, General Secretary.
Let beauty come out of ashes. And when I pray to God, all I ask is, can beauty come out of ashes?
The world suffers a lot, not because the violence of bad people, but because of the silence of the good people. The Naga Students Federation, in collaboration with Naga Students Union Delhi, and bring all the Naga people together in this manner. I would also like to thank the organizing committee and his team. I would like to thank the Ansam president and his team. I would also want to thank all the speakers from different organizations who have come and spoke. Lastly but not the least, I would especially want to thank all the Naga people living in Delhi. It's all because of the Naga people living in Delhi that this people really is a successful one. And I would also like to clearly state, by saying this, by seeing all of the people who are seated here and who have been standing under this scorching heat, the sacrifice that you have made have clearly proven that there is no Eastern Naga, no Northern Naga, no Central Naga, but we Naga are all, and we Naga are one. We have one vision, one destiny, is what I would like to say, and I would like to end. Thank you. East or West? Nagas are one! East or West? Nagas are one! East or West? Nagas are one! North or South? Nagas are one! North or South? Nagas are one!
Mr. Ningulok Promet, the General Secretary of Naga People's Movement for Human Rights. Sir, things are being up and down. What are your motives and the messages from back home here to the New Delhi?
As you are aware, the peace process has been going on for a very long time, but especially after 2019, the whole dynamics of the peace process is changing its scenario, and there's a danger of the whole peace process breaking down too. So we do not, at any circumstances, we do not want the peace process to break down. We want, no matter how difficult it is, that peace negotiations should continue, and that some kind of the human suffering is at least relieved for all this year what Nagas have been going through. So the main purpose is to urge upon the government of India also to be to keep their side of the word, because they also have signed agreements in the past which are not being implemented and which are being reinterpreted at the moment, which is causing all this confusion. So we're asking both the signatories, whether it is from the Indian government or from the Naga negotiators, that they have made certain agreement. So both of them must honor their own agreement, keep their commitment to find a peaceful solution to the problem.
There's been rumor that the old framework agreement has been trashed and the new framework agreement is on the table. So what are your says on this? Would you like to comment on this?
No, we do not know exactly the actual situation because nobody has seen what is happening. But we do understand that the framework agreement has been reinterpreted to mean different things, which is causing disagreement to both sides. So that is the danger. If we are not honest to the commitment, then it will cause certainly more confusion, which will ultimately lead to the breakdown of peace processes. Yeah, so sensing this, we're saying to both the parties that you must honor your own words and then fulfill your commitment to the peace process which you have already assured the people. both India and Nagas.
The world desires to know and the world desires peace for the Naga people. But why is it taking so long? You've been a very senior and legitimate citizen of a Naga. We wanted to know from you one concrete reason for this. Would you like to comment, sir?
Obviously, government of India also has a lot of difficulties. It has a lot of political problems, not only with Nagas, but in many parts of India, as we're all aware. So they have some kind of sense that the national security of India will be threatened if Nagas are given their due political recognition. So that is one danger, and they feel that government of India feels that there's a danger of India breaking down if Nagas are given whatever they feel is their legitimate right. That is one aspect of it. On the other hand, it is also equally true that among Nagas, there are overground politicians who have survived and played their games all their life under the government of India. And these people want to hijack the issue or rather destroy the process. That is, I think these are some issues that are very real.
Now we're with Mr. Ketep, the NSF president from Nagaland. Mr. President, you came from Nagaland for this people's relay, a call for peace. So we want to know the main motives behind this relay at Jantar Mantar today.
Naga people are tired. In any given point of time, any human on earth needs peace to progress. We have lots of issues back home, and for which we came down to show our solidarity and to express the position of the Nagas, that Naga youths wants peace in our land.
Peaceful solution. You want peaceful solution. You want peaceful solution. We all want peaceful solution.
We wanted to know from you, when there is a backfires and backlashes about the peaceful solution back home in our homeland, why are you organizing this peace relay in Delhi?
Nagas were free people. Every village has a republic democrats. No forces on earth can take any decision for any village. Britishers forcefully occupied part of our Naga homeland, and after they left India, the Indian came and captured our Nagas. Until that, we are suffering, and therefore we younger generation, we want peace in our land, and for which we came down in the heart of India to assert the position and aspiration of the Naga youths that without peace we cannot grow in peace. And this is the reason why we came, and I am sure that this message which we convey today will send a strong message to the government of India, and I'm sure that our prayers will be answered.
There is a rumor. Will you agree to that new framework agreement?
I would rather say that the government of India have to show maturity and sincerity in their dialogue with the Naga people, and until and unless inclusive and honorable solution arrive, Naga people as a whole will not accept any imposed solution. Any piecemeal solution cannot be considered a solution. For Nagas, what we considered solution is a lasting peace in our land, and it should not only confine to piecemeal package, but it should brought about a complete different picture of what India wants to give to Naga people today. For Naga Students Federation, we don't stand for any negotiators or any political party. We stand for what is good for our people, Nagas as a whole. We stand for only one Nagas, so we want only one solution.
We want peace. We don't want controversy. We don't want violence any longer in our land. We, the younger generation of the Nagas, we want peaceful, inclusive for all the Nagas. So this is Mr. Ketep, the NSF president from Nagaland. The student unions and the student federation, their demand is the inclusiveness and the lasting peace in our homeland back home in Nagaland. अभी हमारे साथ हैं मिस लिंदा न्यूमाई, a social worker. मैडम, आप यहाँ नागा की एक सीनियर व्यक्ति हो ना, तो आप इस नागा पीस रिले को क्या संदेश देना चाहोगे?
सब नागा एक है। ईस्ट वेस्ट नॉर्थ साउथ सभी कोना, ये हम जितना भी जहाँ पे हम नागा इनहेबिटेड एरियाज है, नागा अलग अलग ट्राइब है, हम सब एक है। हम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से सभी होप, हाई होप, क्योंकि पीएम नरेंद्र मोदी जी जब सरकार आए वो इतना दिलचस्प से नागा सॉल्यूशन देने के लिए उसने विश्वास दिलाया नागा लोगों को, वो पूरा नागा लोग विश्वास है, तो उसका इंतज़ार कर रही है। और अभी टाइम है कि अभी सॉल्यूशन फाइनल हो जाए, और जो प्रॉमिस दिया है उसका हम सब भी भरोसा है। उसके लिए हम पीसफुल रैली और गवर्नमेंट को अभी जल्दी सॉल्यूशन दिलाने में हम याद कराने के लिए सब इकट्ठा हुआ है।
नागा लोग सरकार पर भरोसा है कि शांति से ये जल्दी नागा सॉल्यूशन को लाएंगे। मैं थजो तलना क्रॉस सुदर्शन न्यूज़ चैनल के लिए जंतर मंतर न्यू दिल्ली।